A man and a woman walking in the field, they come to a stop under a shade of bushes. The man looks up and he sees sunlight filtering through the foliage of leaves. The same sunlight caresses the cheeks of the woman beside him. He looks up and he sees a bird singing. Upon hearing it serenade, the man and the woman hug each other. Her face is turning warm, his face is turning warm, and all of a sudden they find themselves entwined, desperate and longing. It's quite a sweet scene, isn't it? Full of tenderness and longing. Something from a Jane Austen novel, perhaps, or something from a romantic K-drama. But what if I told you this is a scene from George Orwell's 1984? That harrowing dystopian novella, often associated with, post-truth politics, coercive surveillance, totalitarianism. Now, when I was reading 1984 as a student, I didn't think about love at all. Love is the catalyst, yes, Julia as a lover character. She does move plot. Love is important, but is 1984 a love story? And even if we can agree that it is a love story, it's hard for us to imagine it on the shelves of a romance genre. You see, when I was a teenager, when I was reading stories that were explicitly about love, I still wouldn't be thinking about love. When I read Antony and Cleopatra, Romeo and Juliet, the things that were on my mind was, what is this theme of revenge? What is this theme of betrayal? What are the conventions of the tragedy? Love was the one thing that was far from my mind. The one thing that I forgot, the one thing that I missed, the simple thing, is that Antony and Cleopatra, Romeo and Juliet, are at heart tragedies about two people, specifically two lovers. But love just seemed so trivial, so obvious, that I thought there must be something more. Love must be gesturing to other things like social malaise, political situations, the workings of fate and free will. At the time, I just hadn't yet understood the importance of a reading attention to love. My reading experience radically shifted. When I was 17, I had read Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. At the heart of this novel are two lovers, Heathcliff and Catherine, who grew up and fell in love in a manor called Wuthering Heights. Long story cut short, I don't want to bore you, they don't end up together. What happens though is Catherine marries someone else and Heathcliff spirals. He becomes emotionally unhinged, he becomes abusive, very and incredibly erratic to the people around him. But what is consistent about Heathcliff is he never leaves Wuthering Heights. He never leaves the vicinity of Catherine long after she passes on. When I read this, I was bewildered by this person. How can someone with so much hate have so much love within him? How can someone so diabolical have so much faithfulness? Don't get me wrong, his love for Catherine doesn't change the way he has been cruel to her, but it did make me give him another read. I would go back to the pages where he would stare at her maliciously. I would go back to those scenes where he would berate her for despising him. And the more I read, the more dimensional he became. He was no longer an anti-hero or a villain, but rather he was a lover. And like all lovers, one is shattered in the absence of the beloved. What is the importance of a reading attention to love? Well, as someone who has studied and read, taught about narratives of love, what is important to me is this thing about love. Now, what is this thing about love? This thing about love has long divided thinkers throughout history. You have someone like Arthur Schopenhauer who thought that love is a suspicious thing. It is nature's conspiracy against human freedom. On the other hand, the devout Søren Kierkegaard would think of love as the highest of subjective experience. Very divided. In our world today, we have our own versions of conflicted views on love, perhaps best encapsulated in phrases like, I love my phone, or I love Google Maps. I'm sure we've all said that. We live in a world that's increasingly post-sentimental. Our phones become our most intimate friend. It knows how many hours we've slept. It knows the brunch places that we've been to. It might even have brought you here today. When we profess affection for a phone or an app, love becomes a vacuous word. We depersonalize relations. But on the other hand, it also means that love has become something that is boundaryless. We can love anything, everything. As someone who has taught, as I've said, studied and researched on love, I'm interested in this question. Why is love so central, but yet sometimes seems to be at the back of our minds, a little symptom, noise? I have a theory. I think it is because, and you might think this is a cop-out, I think it is because love is universal. Or at least I should say it is universally recognizable. Even if we have never experienced it, even if we don't want to experience it, we have some sense of what it is, thanks to fairy tales, romantic comedies, popular media, the stories that our grandmother, parents tell us, Disney comics that we grew up with, remakes of Disney films that we grew up with. Boy meets girl, or girl meets girl, lovers begin as strangers, and they become intimate really quickly. And the more intimate you become, the more things you want for each other. You want a house, you want children or dogs, you want children and dogs, you want more children, more dogs. My point is, love is recognizable. We know what it is. We know how it progresses. We know what it means when love is reciprocated, and we certainly know what it means when a heart is broken. This thing about love. Now, I cannot really guarantee that reading love will make us better readers, but if we follow the movements of lovers, we find ourselves being with lovers. Stay with Winston Smith as he caresses, or as he watches the sun caress the cheeks of Julia. Stay with them as they kneel before each other. Stay with them. And if we do that, we might just find ourselves in the company of lovers, feeling with them, being with them. The imperative here is feeling with them, not feeling for them, or feeling about them, or feeling on their behalves. Once we find the lover, the beloved, or a trace of love, time and the narrative slow down for a moment. Not because love is some magical time-tripping machine, but because lovers often wish to prolong their time together. So when we stay with them, we stay a little longer in the world of the text. When we read about lovers who engage in an illicit affair, who might try to be dodging other characters or the omniscient narrator, we find ourselves sneaking with them. We find ourselves reading into lines. We notice when a touch lingers a little longer. When we read about characters who are infatuated with each other, actions might run over, lines spill, and suddenly we become privy to a moment that we probably shouldn't be privy to. When lovers are separated, they start to think about their past together and memories are relived. Suddenly, the narrative that is about past actions becomes narrated in present tense. And our sense of time change. We allow the novel to do that. Reading love is thus not about being with the lover, or it's not just about being with the lover, but first and foremost, it is about being with the text. Love is not the tip of the iceberg. It's not something that gestures to something that's more substantial beneath the surface. Rather, love is a reading principle that teaches us how to read. When we follow the lovers, we inevitably follow narrative movements. We read as the lines run on, spill over and over, or it slows down, and then it meanders, or suddenly comes to a halt. We become more sensitive to narrative movements, gaps, action. We become sensitive to why and how scenes shift, the little nuances that indicate that one is in love. Reading love is thus not about being with the lovers, but first and foremost has the text in the forefront. I cannot guarantee that reading love in stories that do not seem like love stories will make us better readers, but what I can guarantee is reading love will make us better readers. It will make us more loving readers of literature. Thank you.